Whale hunting in Japan dates back to the 7th century during the Yamato Asuka period. Historically, the Japanese viewed whales as deities of the sea as they provided seaside cultures with food, oil, and other materials. While whaling today is a brutal process more often than not, when the Japanese first began hunting whales, they did so as respectfully as possible. The 17th century brought developments in whale hunting, such as the use of harpoon and net techniques, which began to truly change whale hunting in Japan. Japan began using power-driven vessels with guns after seeing similar Norwegian whale hunting techniques. Despite the technological advancement, many Japanese fishermen opposed it, as it was not a humane or respectful way to kill whales. Eventually, unfortunately, the use of powerful machines was inevitable due to the quickly changing industry. As discussed earlier, whale hunting has always been a large part of Japanese culture. For example, during World War II, when food was scarce, whale meat made up half of all animal protein consumed by Japan. Japan has always used all parts of the whale hunted, as there are many parts of the whale that are useful in many different industries. There's even a Japanese proverb that reads, "There's nothing to throw away from a whale except for its voice." However, despite whales' influence on Japanese lifestyle and long-standing presence in their culture, in 1982, the International Whale Commission voted on a resolution to ban commercial whaling. The original resolution quickly expanded to completely block Japan from doing any type of whale hunting.
So has anything been done to better this whole whale hunting situation?
Well, in January of 2012, 3 American scientists proposed creating whaling quotas in an effort to diminish the amount of whales hunted. Conservationists could increase quotas, pocket them, and this helps as many whales as money could buy. Due to controversy on whale hunting, the Sea Shepherd Group has emerged as one of the most aggressive anti-whaling organizations. Last year in February, Japan announced the end of their annual whale hunt in Antarctica. Japan's Ministry of Agriculture states that Sea Shepherd Conservation Society has disrupted the hunt by chasing the whaling ships. They have experienced an abundance of harassment from the society. Critics such as environmental group Greenpeace International argue that the annual hunts are a waste of the taxpayers' money and that it takes place for political rather than food supply reasons.
So what is the current situation of whale hunting?
So 25 years later, the temporary ban is still on that doesn't allow Japanese to hunt whales. They claim that they're doing research by killing the whales and collecting data, but yet again, none of the information is published in the scientific journal.
Based on the information of the difference between Western and Eastern whaling, we can now go back to the past of how whaling had brought Japan out of an economic crisis. During World War II, when they lost, it was estimated that 1,000 of the civilians were going to basically die because they couldn't have the right protein or the right nutrition. With the general and the government approval, they were able to start whaling in Antarctic. With the protein that they were able to collect, they were able to rebuild their population and rebuild their stability as well as their economy.
Is there any need to regulate whale hunting?
Based on the information from the IWC, or International Whaling Committee and the scientific department, they set a standard catch quota of 1 to 4% of minke whales. About 1 to 4% is about 2,000 to about 9,000 minke whales. And research has proven that this has not affected their population. In fact, they are increasing in numbers, and this quota has set them to a standard limit. Based on the standard limit, there should be no problem and no worries about a decrease in the whale population or harming in the ecosystem.
Besides commercial profits, what are other benefits of whale hunting?
The other types of benefits of whale hunting is the scientific part of it. Different types of researchers have found that certain whales carry mercury, and that can be very harmful to the citizens that eat it. Also, with different types of whales, you can test of what kind of ecosystems live within the ocean, how long certain ecosystems have lived in the ocean. You can tell different parts about the sea and how all the whales have affected the ocean as well. There's a big scientific department about it.
Based on the information you've researched, what are the benefits of whale hunting?
Well, the biggest thing that we need to know is that the difference between Western whaling and Eastern whaling. Western, they only use the parts for oil and different various meats, but Japan uses all parts. Every bit of the whale is used, conserved for scientific purposes as well as commercial consumer.
Besides Japan, what other countries have prospered from whale hunting?
Another country that has prospered is Iceland. Their economy has increased in exceptional numbers based on the fact that the whaling they have done has led to a larger gross product of codfish. Their codfish numbers have led to an extra 350,000 tons of cod produce, and with that they can make a lot more income. With the whaling along with the cod products, they need at least more jobs, and they've reached numbers of 2,000, and it's still growing to this day. What is the current killing method of whaling?
Let's take a walk. Well, the current killing method is, in itself, it's inhumane. Mostly, everyone thinks it's cruel and unusual. The primary method of killing is they use a thing called a grenade harpoon. And so it's like a harpoon, like kind of spear with a grenade attached, and the ships follow the whales, shooting it into the whale, and it goes about 8 to 12 inches deep, and the grenade will eventually explode. Sometimes like killing them, but also sometimes just like injuring them pretty massively. And if they don't get killed from the initial impact of the grenade, they'll either shoot another grenade harpoon in, or they'll do multiple rifle shots to it.
How has whaling affected the ecosystem?
Let's continue on our stroll. Alright, whale hunting has affected the ecosystem in several ways. For example, a couple decades ago, when whale hunting was practiced, many like whales that killer whales would eat would be hunted by the whale hunters. So this in turn would affect the food chain, because the killer whales now had to look for other species of animals, such as harbor seals, sea lions, or just other certain types of fish.
What are the other consequences of whaling?
Alright, well, other consequences of whale hunting include the mercury level. For example, certain types of whale meat have unusually high levels of mercury, so if humans keep eating the whale meat, eventually it can lead to death or serious illness. Probably one of the biggest consequences of whale hunting is that whale hunting threatens to make a certain species of whales extinct. And this is why the people opposing whale hunting believe it should come to an end.
What species of whale would you say are being hunted by Japan, Iceland, or Norway?
Last season, Japanese fisheries killed 551 minke whales in the Antarctic, only about 50% of what they had actually intended. But the whaling in the coming year or two is likely to increase dramatically and threaten the population of mink, fin, and sea whales worldwide. Other countries such as Norway already hunt for quotas of over 1,000 whales a year despite the moratorium on whaling. Iceland's exiting government has recently announced an increase in quotas to 150 mink and 150 fin whales per year for the next 5 years, 6 times their last season goals. After mink and fin whale populations collapse, whalers will move on to other targets they have been craving for, like the humpback killer whale.
Based on your research, how will the depleting whale population affect the ecosystem?
By the numbers provided by the International Union for Conservation of Nature, the red-listed species are the fin whale and the sea whales, which are both endangered species. The fin whale is the second largest animal on Earth, reaching lengths in excess of 8 feet long. In the late 90s to early 2000s, population estimates placed the Antarctic fin whale under 5,000 and possibly as low as 1,000 at present. This decrease in the number of whales is going to lead to a rise in fish, krills, and other species that the whales feed on, which will totally lead to an imbalance in the ecosystem. By putting a restriction on whale hunting, we can put an end to whale poaching, whale smuggling, excessive whale hunting, which will in turn destroy the ecosystem.